Have you ever felt like something in your life mattered deeply, but you could not explain why? Not in a dramatic way, not a voice, not a sign in the sky. Just a quiet sense that something was being asked of you. You prayed, you waited, you paid attention, and still nothing clear came. So a question began to form. Slowly, honestly. Does God still speak? Or am I just not hearing him? Before we go any further, pause for a moment. Think about the last time you felt unsettled for no clear reason. Not anxious, not afraid, just internally disturbed. If you have felt that, even once, put one word in the comments that best describes it. Pressure, restlessness, tension, uncertainty. Not to explain it, just to name it, because you are not alone in that experience. The first sign God may be speaking to you is not peace. It is discomfort. A quiet restlessness that does not leave. A sense that something is off, even when everything looks fine. You stay busy. You distract yourself. You assume it will pass, but it does not. This is not panic. It is not fear. It is not guilt. It is an internal pressure. In Scripture, God often stirred people long before He gave them clarity. Before direction came, there was disturbance. The question is not whether the feeling is comfortable. The question is whether it is purposeful. But restlessness alone does not mean God is speaking. Feelings can mislead. Which brings us to the next sign. Sometimes it is a phrase, sometimes a thought, sometimes a verse you did not go looking for. You hear it in a sermon, then you read it in Scripture. Then someone mentions it in passing. Not loudly, not urgently, just consistently. God often repeats what matters. But repetition is not pressure. It is not manipulation. It is preparation. Still, repetition alone is not direction. And this is where something subtle begins to shift. Things that once distracted you stop working. Entertainment feels hollow. Scrolling feels empty. Noise feels heavier than silence. You are not bored. You are not burned out. You are unsettled. When God begins to speak, He often removes the comfort of avoidance. Not to punish you, but to make room. This can show up in ordinary ways. A job you once enjoyed starts to feel misaligned. A relationship you have avoided addressing keeps coming to mind. A habit that once numbed you no longer does. Nothing dramatic changes on the outside, but something refuses to stay quiet on the inside. And if this is already resonating with you, take a second to like the video and subscribe. Not as a routine, but because this message may reach someone else who has been quietly asking the same questions. Sometimes Scripture itself begins to feel different. You read a passage you have read many times before, but this time it does not feel general. It feels personal. Not condemning, not flattering, exposing. You do not feel attacked. You feel seen. This is not about searching for verses to fit your situation. It is about Scripture pressing into places you have avoided. And still, clarity does not always come. This is where many people grow frustrated. If God is speaking, why is it still unclear? Because in the Bible, clarity usually comes last. Prayer begins to change. Less talking, less explaining, more listening. You sit in silence longer than before. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you are attentive. God does not compete with noise. He invites stillness. But stillness does not always feel peaceful. Sometimes it reveals something heavier. you begin to sense that obedience may cost you something. Not sin versus virtue, but comfort versus surrender. Staying feels easier than moving. Silence feels safer than honesty. Delay feels wiser than faith. This is often where people stop listening, because God's voice does not always point toward relief. Sometimes it points toward trust. And then something else happens. You feel the urge to rush the answer. You want certainty. You want reassurance. You want God to make it unmistakable. But Scripture shows that God often gives enough light for the next step, not the entire path. And here is the truth that brings everything together. God is not silent because He is absent. He is often silent because He has already spoken. The tension you feel is not confusion. It is invitation. The signs are not meant to comfort you. They are meant to call you forward. God speaks through restlessness, through repetition, through Scripture, through stillness, through conviction. But clarity often comes after obedience, not before it. If you are waiting to hear God clearly before you respond, you may be waiting longer than faith ever promises. Because faith is not built on certainty, it is built on trust. And sometimes, the clearest sign God is speaking to you is this: you already know what He is asking. You just have not said yes yet. If this helped you, or if you know someone who feels stuck, confused, or quietly searching, share this with them. Sometimes God uses a simple message at the right moment to open a door someone did not know how to knock on.